and welcome to the third episode of Fishin N Talkin. Today I'm going to cover off some more specifics and details of my first few trips outside of Dublin. First to Galway to visit a friend from university, and then to Cork where I did my first couch surfing. To give a little background, when I was at University of Tennessee, I was part of this entrepreneurship club. And one of the people that was in the club with me, and she was also part of the leadership team with me at one point, was a friend of mine named Devin. Now, she and I had always spoken and talked about this idea of taking the trip to Ireland, specifically to do the working holiday visa, which would allow us 1 year in Ireland. Now, she actually graduated about a semester before me, which allowed her to move to Ireland first. So she ended up moving to Ireland first and then chose to live in Galway. So 6 months after she moved there, I then moved to Ireland. My main base was in Dublin, but of course I knew I wanted to go see and visit her and see what she had been up to. So a few weeks after arriving in Dublin, I then took the bus out to Galway and met up with her. By the time that I got there, I ended up staying for about 2 weeks, which meant that I was also there for Halloween. And that was quite an experience. For those of you who aren't aware with exactly what Galway is and the size of Galway, compared to Dublin, it's extremely small. Now, to me, it's what we would consider a town, and a very small town at that. But it's very cultural. It's got a very strong community. There's basically there's one main strip through the middle of the town, and all these different shops and restaurants and bars and pubs in between. There's a few of these side streets, but what happens on Halloween is that they close down this entire main strip, and it's a big parade, like a huge parade all the way from the north side of the town to the south side, to where it then crosses the bridge over this main river that runs through the city, and then out into where they disperse. It was awesome. I mean, this thing was almost too unbelievable to see unless you were actually there. And this is something they do every single year. And I was really, really glad that I was able to get it to experience this since it obviously only happens once a year. On Saturdays and Sundays, they do these very cool little shops and farmers market and different artisan craft stuff. So that was exciting. And then, of course, the Halloween experience was the cherry on top. After about 2 weeks, I left Galway, came back to Dublin, and then was back with Connor for a few weeks. My next little trip was out to Cork. And this one was a little more unique because I didn't know anybody in Cork. And this was going to be my first couch surfing experience. So I'd thought of and I'd used couch surfing before while in the US, but I hadn't yet used it in a foreign country. So I didn't know what the commonalities or I didn't know what the differences would be in terms of expectations. After doing a little bit of research, I found that the expectation was that yes, you still get to stay for free, but you're expected to either contribute something such as food or money for food, or cleaning, or at least some kind of gift. What happened in my situation was that I met a guy who was a local professor at one of the universities. And it was actually, he was teaching statistics and analytics, specifically in computer languages of R and Python, and he was running the Python meetup there in Cork. So I was actually able to help him run one of these meetings. I was basically just doing cleanup and pickup duty, help him carry in the food, help him get this, that, and the other. So it wasn't very exciting, but it was another way to meet people, and again, a free place to stay. Of course, the other expectation with couch surfing is that you're willing to hang out, share stories, talk about your travels, and then spend time in the community areas. So while I was there, I spent the evenings with him and his roommate and we would talk about travels. We would talk about my experience so far in Ireland. I would hang out at the house until they got home, and then we would go out and do something, or just sit around and chat for a while. The third main trip out of Ireland was to Limerick, but that trip to Limerick was specifically for this hackathon that I was going to participate in at the Bank of Ireland. And this was the culmination of everything that I was looking for. Free food, free place to stay, and free entertainment. But that's a story in and of itself, so we'll cover that one next time.